communication in general has to be successful and effective. This is because many miscommunication cause conflicts and alterations of messages. Many would think having an effective communication has to have a private and peaceful spot away from unnecessary noises. But have you ever thought about the message receiver's characteristics? Today, I'm going to discuss the characteristics of clientele and audiences in communication. The first one in our list is the social position. This is a status that a person enjoys in communication contexts. This applies to the president or a leader, managers, businessmen, colleagues, and even our teachers. This is more of a formal and respectful type of communication. Usually, they prefer talking directly with formality. The next one is education level. This may suggest the reading skills and healthy literacy and the ability to engage with more complex topics, new and even unfamiliar. We should always remember that not everyone has the capacity to be able to read and understand complex context. It is always advised to have a simple oral recitation. The third one is age level. This is somewhat similar to education level, but this is highly based on preferences of people with different ages. For example, the younger generation prefers social media content, mobile texting, and websites, while the older generation prefers emails, phone calls, meetings, and memos. The next one is race and ethnicity. This is an important consideration in communication, particularly in deciding on graphics and photos. It is important to do some research before initiating communication to those with different races and ethnicity. The next one is primary language. This is also an important consideration because of the fact that not all people can talk the same language. It's either you do some research on the language or have a trusted interpreter. But the most easiest way to do is to speak in English and avoid complex words. The next one on the list is health status. This is somewhat similar to primary language and education level, but the only difference is that this is based on the clientele's health condition. The clientele might struggle to read because they might have dyslexia. By the way, dyslexia is a learning disorder that involves difficulty reading due to problems identifying speech sounds and learning how they relate to words and letters. So it's best to be mindful of someone's conditions. Second to the last, we have job type. Your audience might have difficulties receiving information because some jobs don't own any advanced electronics, so the best way to do is through meetings and printed papers. And lastly, we have information sources. Not everyone has the privilege to know everything, and since the world is suffering from the domination of fake news, it's quite difficult to trust sources these days. The only thing to avoid this matter is to find a reliable source and do some fact-checking. And now you've learned the different characteristics of the clientele and audiences in communication. Let's proceed to the needs of various types and of clienteles and audiences in communication, which is reported by Miss Kia Aldabe. This has been Arian Joseph Navarro Samonte signing off.
Good day everyone, I'm Kia Aldavi. So today I will discuss to you the needs of various types of client and audiences of communication. General audience. It consists of people from diverse background, age, groups, and interests. They may have varying levels of knowledge and understanding of the topic being communicated. To meet their needs, communication should be clear, concise, and easily understandable by a wide range of individuals. Technical audience. It usually comprises professionals or experts in a specific field. They possess a deeper understanding of the subject matter and may require more detailed and specialized information. So, communication to this audience should be more in-depth using technical terminology and providing comprehensive explanations. Like for example, professionals, engineers, researchers and scientists, technical writer and documentation, and product developers. And the next is executive audience. Executive and high-level decisions makers often requires concise and to the point communication, usually focus on the results and presentation or reports, and highlight key information. It is provide clear recommendations and demonstrate audiences a strong understanding of their goals and priorities. These audience typically include senior executives such as CEOs, CFOs, and other top-level management personnel who have decision-making authority and influence within the organization. And then, last but not the least, the international global audience. It consists of global audience of individuals from different countries, cultures, and languages, and communication for this audience should be sensitive to cultural differences and avoid complex language and use visual or graphics to enhance understanding across language barriers. And that's all for the discussion about needs of various types of client and audiences of communication.
Good day, everyone. I am Rizanina Bandoy, and I am here today to discuss the individual as a client of communication and the group and organization as a client of communication. The concept of the individual as a client of communication emphasizes the effective of communication, tailored as need and the circumstances of the individual. While in the situation of merging the losses, several communication barriers can impede the understanding and expressions of crucial information. Well, first of it was the perception. Well, Velazquez's perception to the reality was blurred because of the unexpected circumstances. Well, effective communication requires addressing and clarifying to the individual understanding to the situation to alleviate the anxiety and to promote the comprehension. Second of it was the inference. Incomplete and unclear information led Veloso into making assumptions to the message she received. Clear and transparent communication is essential to prevent the individuals into making assumptions and to feeling unnecessary distress. Well, third of it was the language. Of course, the language barriers. It is seen with the need for translators hindered Velosa's ability to process what she feels and to express her views adequately. Providing linguistic supports ensures that the individual can fully engage in the communication process. Last but not the least is the status. Veloso's social status as a domestic helper may have influenced how she was perceived by the legal system. Recognizing and respecting the individual's social status is crucial for building trust and for ensuring that their voice is heard regardless with their social rank. So, in overcoming these barriers, effective communication strategies should include clear and transparent information, linguistic support when necessary, and acknowledgement of the individual's status to promote trust and understanding. Recognizing the individual as a client of communication underscores the importance of tailoring communication practice to meet their unique needs and circumstances. Let's go on with the group and organization is the client of communication. In Veloci's case, various groups and organizations such as family, friends, migrant organization, legal teams, media, and the Philippine government acted as a client of communication. Their primary goal was to persuade the Indonesian government to help Mary Jane Veloci's execution. Each group had specific communication needs, ranging from conveying emotional distress to seeking governmental intervention. The prolonged silence from the Indonesian government heightened their desperation, emphasizing the importance of effective communication in achieving their shared objective. For the family, the central concern was the potential loss of a family member, particularly the impact on the loss of children growing up without their mother in a traumatic manner. So that's all. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. The topic that I will tackle for today is about the community as the client of communication. When a community is the client of communication, the message has to be responsive to the need and the channel has to be appropriate and the subject to be communicated has to be relevant to the community. It suggests that when a community is the recipient of a message, the content of that message should be responsive to the community's need and concerns. The method of delivering the message should be appropriate and resonate with the community. For instance, younger communities is more receptive on social media while the older ones or the older communities might prefer a traditional method like newsletters and meetings. Furthermore, the subject of a message should be relevant and of interest to the community. In essence, for communication to be successful, it should be tailored to the community's needs, preference, and interests. Using the Filipino and overseas Filipino workers communities as example, it emphasizes that message should address the community's needs, be delivered through suitable channels, and discuss the relevant topics. In the case of Veloso, her situation symbolized the struggles of OFWs and raised questions about the Philippine government's ability to protect its citizens. This is significant because OFWs, often seen as modern day heroes, further substantial contributions to the Philippines economy through remittances and make up a large portion of the population. In 2009, over 10 million Filipinos were migrant, making the Philippines one of the top recipients of remittances. Let us all remember that for a communication to be successful, it should be tailored to the community's needs, preferences, and interacts. And it also suggests that when a community is the recipient of a message, that content of that message should be responsive to the community's needs and concerns. That was my report about the community as client of communication. I hope you understand my report and thank you for watching.
Good day everyone, I am J. Claire Alfonito and today I will discuss the settings, processes, methods in communication. First is government setting. The government deals with citizens and particularly deliver social and public services that ensure peaceful and orderly living. This being the essence of government to public, the government communicates to inform the public about national plans, public services, security situation, opportunities, and to give general direction to people as a nation. And the second is private sector setting. The private sector refers to business community, the people who involved in the delivery of public services that include job creation and employment provision but are not government. Essentially, these sectors exist for profit. For this broad description of their existence, communication for them is largely advertisement to inform the public, individuals, groups, and communities about available goods and services for sale. And that's all. Thank you.
Civil society setting. This sector of society sees itself as a third force. It comes to complement government and business action. It includes various groups of non-government organizations, charities, foundation, people's organization, and other pressure groups that exist to advocate the causes of social justice on behalf of the marginalized sectors, disenfranchised, minorities, and even on behalf of biodiversity. They do not exist to make profit or serve as government, but they do perform numbers of functions that belong to the government. In many cases, they also engage to business to raise funds to respond to problems affecting the represented sector or issue. Communication, communication in civil society setting is crucial for achieving the goal of the civil society organization. In recent experiences shows that communication should be included as part of strategy of the civil society organization, as part of the civil from the start of activity planning. Communication can be used to conduct advocacy with policymakers, encourage direct action, and influence constituencies through dialogue, mass media, and other interaction. Communication in civil society settings should be based on respect, restraint, and ethical choices. The communication and civil society major aims to educate individuals about the role of communication in civic purposes, theories of social organization, power and political and social change, and techniques and examples of practical intervention in this relation. Now, the sector of society sees itself as the third force because of its distinct role and position in society, which is separate from the market and from the state. The third force, the third force is very helpful to this sector. By functioning as the third force, it contributes overall health and stability of the society, provides vital space for open discussion, collaboration, and social change. Community setting. The community is where all sectors interact. Government, business, civil society, and just about all individuals and groups. In general, communication with communities has tended to favor a one-directional pattern of mass media. Sectors of community announce their offering to the wider community, and government agencies would also inform the communities in this fashion regarding what they want the community to know. But there is also within community, individuals to individual, group to group, and group to general environment communication. Various tools and methods are appropriately drawn to achieve community setting communication goals. On this level, a face-to-face communication and tarpaulin as well as graffiti are very known. Communication in a community setting is essential for effective community development. Effective communication provides the people in the community information, structure, knowledge, and a positive environment to feel comfortable managing problems or managing problems and managing conflicts and setting disputes. Communication can take many forms, including word of mouth, news stories, and both print and broadcast media, press releases, conferences, posters, brochures, and flyers, outreach and presentation to their health and community service providers, community groups, and organization. Communication in a community setting can be used to convey the true nature of organization, the issue it deals with, and its accomplishment to the community. Communication can be also used to gain insights into the problem people are facing regarding the lifestyle and to develop coping mechanism. Communication methods such as counseling are capable of developing coping mechanism when conflicts are resolved in a community, and that too by the way of effective communication skills. The community prosper in every field of life. Communication in community setting should be based on respect, restraint, and ethical choices.
Greetings to everyone. I am James Abibi Kablugan and I'm here today to discuss what is mass media and the communication media channel. First of all, what is communication media channel? It is a communication that is mediated or transmitted through channels such as television, film, radios, social networking sites, fax, email, cell phone, messengers, and print. It is generally referred to as media, a plural form of medium. The only communication that is not mediated or is perhaps face-to-face communication, which takes place among people who understand each other's language. All non-other face-to-face go through channels. In today's interconnected world, there are numerous communication media channels available, each with its own characteristics and modes of communication. This plays a crucial role in facilitating the effective and efficient communication in various contexts such as personal, professional, and organizational settings. Mass media. It is a broad term that refers to various forms of communication channels used to disseminate information, news, entertainment, and other content to a large audience. All forms of communication that are developed through transmitting standardized messages to widespread audience are called mass media. This includes newspaper, magazines, books, e-books, radio, social networking sites, and the internet, television, and motion picture. By and large, mass of mass media has become electronic media and covers radio, television, media, and web design with streaming audio and video. It is also plays a crucial role in shaping public opinion, influencing norms, social norms, and facilitating the exchange of ideas on a global scale. Generally, communication involves the giving, receiving, or changing of information or ideas to ensure that the message is completely understood by everybody involved. It is essentially a two-way process comprising the elements of sender, message, channel, receiver, feedback, and context. Mass media does not consist much of this. It is a one-way system. Yet the emergence of a new media and social media has transformed media to become more of a dialogue, mimicking a typical two-way system. In a mass media, the audience is not obliged to pay attention or give feedback. In mass media, a one-way system refers to a communication model where informs flows in a single direction, typically from the sender or the source to receiver or audience. This model does not allow for immediate feedback or interaction between the sender and the receiver, which is commonly associated with traditional forms of mass media such as television, radio, newspaper, and magazines. In one-way system, the sender or source controls the context and distribution of information, while the receiver or audience passively consumes it. This model is characterized by limited opportunities for the audience participation, as the communication is primarily top-down with a little room for dialogue or engagement. However, it is important to note that with the rise of digital and the internet, the traditional one-way system has evolved. Interactive features, social media platforms, and online forums have provided opportunities for audience feedback, engagement, and participation, blurring the line of one-way communication system. In contrast to the one-way system, a two-way system in a mass media refers to a communication model that allows for interactive and reciprocal communication between the sender and the receiver. It enables a back and forward exchange of information, feedback, and dialogue. The two-way system in a mass media aims to foster a sense of dialogue, collaboration, and inclusivity. It recognizes the importance of audience feedback, opinions, and perspective, allowing for a more dynamic and interactive communication process. This model acknowledges that the audience is not just passive representatives of information but active participants in media discourse. That's all for now. Thank you for listening. Farewell.
Good day, I'm Alan D. Pakamalan Jr. from Group 4. New media and social media. Under new media and social media, communication is not necessarily relation but issue and interest based instead. With the help of technology, new media has helped transform the notion of a community based on geography to a community based on interest from citizen and netizen. New media and social media have also challenged the profession of communication and ethics of communication. It is not regulated by members of the profession, but by the discourse of participants. There is more self-censorship, the profession, and public censorship, since participants can choose by any name, may portray self-image, and they may choose to remain anonymous. Thank you.
I am Prince Alvarez Pusilon, and I'll be reporting telecommunication from Group 4. Well, what is telecommunication? Telecommunication refers to the transmission of information by electromagnetic means, large volumes of information in the form of words, sounds, images over long distances are transmitted in the form of electromagnetic signals by telegraph, telephone, radio, or television. The term covers a vast range of information or transmitting technologies including mobile phones, landlines, and broadcast networks. The data is transmitted in the form of electrical signals, modulated into analog or digital signals for transmitting information. Analog modulation used in radio broadcasting are amplitude modulation and the digital modulation. Telecommunications and broadcasting are administered worldwide by the United Nations Specialized Agency for Information and Communication Technologies. This agency allocates global radio and satellites orbits, develop the technical standards that ensures network and technology seamlessly interconnect. It strives to improve access ICTs to underserved communities worldwide. In the Philippines, the nation telecommunication is the nation's regulatory responsibility to steer the communications sector as a primary engine for nation progress and development. That's all. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I am Jesser John Axel Olusero, and I am here today to talk about how understanding people's needs is super important for good communication. Hodgett's 2002 says there are 5 things we've got to think about. Who's sending the message, what's the message, how it's being sent, who's getting it, and how they understand it. When we take time to figure out what others need, we can talk to them in ways that make sense. We choose the right way to talk, pick what works best, and think about how they'll understand it. This makes sure our messages are clear and make sense to others. Good communication means making sure we meet the needs of everyone we're talking to. This refers to individuals, groups, organizations, and communities. So it's all about understanding these important things and using that understanding to make our messages really connect with everyone we're trying to talk to.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, I am James Harvey Kabilugan and will be talking about monitoring and evaluating communication effectivity. Monitoring and evaluating communication effectiveness in the communication media channels involves assessing how will the communication strategies and tactics are working in achieving their intended goals. Monitoring refers to the ongoing process of collecting data and information about the communication activities. This can involve tracking the reach and engagement of the communication messages, monitoring audience, feedback and response, and analyzing the effectiveness of different communication channels and platforms. Evaluation, on the other hand, involves assessing the overall effectiveness and impact of the communication efforts. This can include analyzing the outcomes and results of the communication campaigns, measuring the changes in audience knowledge, attitudes, and behaviors, and determining the extent to which the communication objectives had been achieved. It is also logically involved splitting the variables into two: those pertain to making something happen, the causes, and those that accounts for result, the effects. The variable of causes include input, activities and output, and these have to be monitored and accounted for. The variable of effects includes initial outcomes, intermediate outcomes, and ultimate outcomes, and these have to be evaluated. Monitoring traces the plan and documents its implementation, while evaluation accounts for results arising the implementation of the plan. Communication at all levels is a deliberate and planned process with a clear, articulate desired outcomes. By monitoring and evaluating communication effectiveness in the media channel, organization can gain insights into what is working well and what needs to improve. This information can then be used to make informed decisions, optimize communication strategies, and enhance the overall effectiveness of the communication efforts.
Communication is how we share ideas and understand each other. When we talk or send messages, we want someone to get what we're saying and react to it. Imagine someone sending a text hoping the person who gets it understands and responds. When we check how well we communicated, we look at things like how we sent the message, how it was designed, and when and where it was said. We also see if the message changed how people acted. If we did well, we succeeded in communicating. If not, we figure out what went wrong to fix it next time.